Welcome to the third video in the 1985 VF1000R Restoration Reboot series. In this video, I'll take you through the inspection, documentation, repair and final paint prep for the bodywork. I only have photographic archives of this work as it spans several years of stop-start progress, but I'll attempt to provide as much details as possible nonetheless. The bodywork on the VF1000R is an interesting mix of plastics and Kevlar reinforced fiberglass, paying homage to the Honda V4 F1 race technology the VF was based on. The first task is to document through notes and photographs each of the body panels, its fitment to the bike, condition, any damage, type of fasteners, and any missing components. The bodywork comprises of a front fender, a single-piece glass fibre lower fairing, a single-piece glass fibre upper fairing, gas tank, rear tail unit, solo seat cowl, rear light surround, and multiple insert panels that I'll cover in a future video. The lower has had multiple poor quality repairs in the past which will need to be redone before paint prep. A couple of unique features on this fairing are the oil level inspection panel and the spring-loaded air scoop doors that are designed to open at around 60 miles per hour to provide additional cooling. The upper, which includes a separate light surround and upper radiator grille, also has some old repairs that will need to be redone. It also has been repainted in the past, and as we will see later, is hiding some nasty spider cracks in the gel coat that will be discovered during the paint prep. The most challenging repair will be the bodywork around the mirror mounting points. The mirror mounts double as an attachment for the upper to the frame, and the issue with this, as you can see, is that in any kind of tip over, the mirror will twist and crush the fragile fiberglass attached to it. Tail unit and rear light surround bolt directly to the seat, and then this assembly is bolted to the rear subframe. In general, the tail unit is in good condition, with the exception of some cracked mounting tabs, which will be easily dealt with before paint prep. I'll also be restoring and fitting the OE single seat cowl to this bike, as it definitely enhances the racing lines. The item pictured here is in pretty good condition, but the top is slightly warped from sun exposure and some of the mounting points need repair. Pictured here is the original US market gas tank, but personally I prefer the more squarer look of the JDM or European tank. The tank pictured here is one I imported from Japan. Notice as well the inverted paint scheme compared to the US. Of course, I'll switch this to match the US paint scheme and the rest of the bodywork. Next step is to measure and precisely document the layout of the paint scheme and decals. This is something I'm a stickler for to the point of being OCD, but if you want the final product to be indistinguishable from the bike that came straight out of the factory, you have to get this bit correct. Archiving this information is critical because once you start the paint prep process, there's no going back and the history is lost. Having to try to take these references from pictures on the internet is nigh on impossible, although I have been in that position many times before. In the case of the tail unit, I'm tracing out templates where the colour schemes overlap with the solo seat cowl. I'll then apply these templates to the finally prepped panels when taping out for colour. Moving on to the repairs for the lower, I removed all the old repair patches, sanded the fiberglass down to a clean bonding surface, then relayed new fiberglass matting and resin into the repair areas. For the more challenging repairs to the upper, I first fitted the screen to hold the broken parts in the correct position. I then laid fiberglass mat and resin into the repair areas, applying one layer at a time until the basic shape and thickness was achieved. Not seen in this photo are the large metal washers I bonded into each of the mirror mounting points. This will provide additional reinforcing to prevent cracking when the upper and mirrors are finally fitted to the bike. With various other small repairs completed on the plastic parts, I prep for primer by sanding the original paint as far back as possible, only cutting into the plastic itself if there are defects below the paint surface. Where the solo seat cowl was deformed from heat exposure, I applied a 2-part plastic Bondo to level the surface. Before etch priming, I first coat the fully exposed plastic surfaces with a plastic adhesion promoter. Then paint each part with 3 coats of etch primer, 5 minutes apart. Once the etch primer has cured, I scuff the surfaces with a medium Scotch-Brite pad and apply 2 to 3 coats of 2-part urethane primer filler to fill in defects and sanding marks created during the repair and preparation process. Once the primer filler has cured, I can block sand the surfaces to achieve a perfectly flat finish. To aid in this, I dust the parts with a light coat of dry powder guide coat. Then, using various shaped foam sanding blocks and 400 grit wet and dry paper, I sand back the primer until the guide coat is completely removed. Where defects or deep scratches are still present, I use a surface putty to fill them and then sand them back for a perfect finish. It's inevitable during this process that the primer will be completely removed on the high spots. This is normal, and the purpose here is purely to create the flattest, smoothest surface possible before final paint. Sanding back the primer on the upper cap, I identified a spider crack or crazing in the gel coat below the original paint surface. Rather than remove the damaged gel coat and have to restart the entire process again, I used the technique that's worked for me in the past. Taking a very thin cyanoacrylate, I apply this to all the cracks in the gel coat, ensuring it penetrates fully into the surface area. Then, using a paper towel to speed up the drying time, I continue to apply more coats of cyanoacrylate until I'm satisfied all the cracks have been filled. Then, I sand back the surface, which will be etch primered before final paint. With all the repairs and final wet sanding complete, I prepare the parts for surface primer to seal everything in and provide a clean, consistent surface for final paint. Any areas where the original plastic, metal or paint has been exposed are etch primed. Then I apply 2 even coats of surface primer to finish up. The bodywork is now ready for the first colour to be laid down, which for me is the most exciting point after many hours of preparation. But that will have to wait for another video.